Technology is any form of, I would put it as, automating the processes. If you see in the olden days, we used to do a lot of things manually. You take any industry, be it be processing or banking or insurance. Initially, the passbooks were written in hand. Insurance policies were, handwritten and issued. If you're at that stage, if you're converting that into a typewriter, or the next generation was electronic typewriting, where editing was possible. In the manual typewriter, the editing was not possible. So these are all steps towards technology and automation. Anything which is used for automation, I would put it as technology. Today's age, if anybody thinks that the technology is short-lived, maybe a particular part of the technology or the kind of technology, but as a field, technology is here to stay. If you see, even the daily items which we pick up from the grocery shop, okay, those are technologically enabled. Be it be from printing the receipt, or nowadays you can make payments through your mobile to the taxis or to your kirana shops or to the vegetable vendors. Our central bank is proposing, this model very well. So what I mean to say is, it touches everyone in their daily routines and daily life. So it is different parts of the technology which plays a key role, and it is here to stay. If you take examples of hospitals, initially the doctors used to keep a file record of patients. Their history was written in a handwriting which could be understood only by a doctor, maybe by the same doctor, and maybe a chemist, and may not be by sometimes the other doctor. I mean, the way I look at it. So the computerization in those fields started with one, keeping centralized record of the patients. The second is having access, or I would put it as digitizing those reports, all the lab reports or some of the tests which are carried out, those reports being digitized and stored. So there is a technology called document management system. Okay. So now document management system holds all the records. It can be indexed, it can be, some of the confidential data can be masked, based, and it can be, the access could be provided need based, what we call it as a, through which is done as a access management control. Technology is being deployed in all spaces. Be it be communications, you look at your mobiles. I actually have seen a computer which is maybe as big as this room size where we are sitting, but doing very limited stuff, very, very small processing. But today the landscape of technology has changed. The device which you are holding in your hands, now the processing capability of those devices is much better than the technology which we have seen, or I have seen when I started my career 25 years back. Be it be a storage capacity, be it be the resolution of the displays, be it be the processing capability of the and I think the what you call it as a connectivity and interoperability from the different systems. 25 years back, you had to have a special program written to exchange the data between the Mac computers, which is Apple, to your Windows. Now it is like everything is inbuilt. If you are launching something like Android came in, you have to use it with some interchange with Apple or with Windows. There are with the program itself, with the operating system itself, the things are available. So technology makes all these things kind of possible. The dimensions have changed, the sizes have changed. Now you have earlier we used to have superdomes and large mainframes. Yeah, we used to call them as mainframes. Now it's mini frames, maybe, with respect to the processing. Now, if I have to give you a banking example, initially banks were, you could transact only in that particular branch of the bank. All record keeping was manual. Passbooks were written manually. Interest computation was done manually. Your fixed deposit receipts were issued manually. Fixed deposit interest and TDS on that is calculated manually. As a step, the banks started doing the branch automation. So computerization started maybe 20-30 years back by automating a particular process or a particular division. So once the branch got automated, then at the back office, those banks which had several branches, the consolidation would take place. So we used to term that as a back office job or a finance back office operations. So those were being done manually. So the computerization started happening in those places, and the programs were written to take the inputs coming from different branches, consolidate and publish the consolidated balance sheet of the company or profit and loss statements of the company. If there is any management information which needs to be, we call it as MIS. So if you have to have management information, so those were done manually. After some time, those back office started getting automated. So technology being used for all these functions. Moving forward, the people started writing a centralized systems where all branches could use the same system and post transactions. The management from the central level could get a consolidated view of transactions happening and the management informations, what we call it as a near online or online. So this is called a centralized system creation, and this is true for both I would say banking as well as for the entire finance industry. We are moving away from now the banking through the internet banking. Earlier it was more from the branch banking, people have been shifted to ATMs so that the queues are less in the branches. Then from the ATMs we started pushing customers to do the transactions over the internet so that the cost is reduced. But in today's world, it is all on your hands. It is in mobile. So basically moving through the digital. So everyone wants to do at their convenience. So it is more of a banking at convenience through the device which is available. There are banks in the world investing on kind of a consistent experience for the customer across banking channels. When I say banking channels, be it the person who goes to the branch or calls the contact center for some information, then he may put a request to the contact center that gets fulfilled, let's say in the branch or through the mobile. He can do transaction through the mobile. That means you need to generate a particular system which can cater to all the channels. So this could be pulled in. This could be pulled in by doing a centralized system. 25 years back when we started our career, or I would put it as when I started my career, those days there was no department called as the Information Technology Department. What was there was EDP, which was Electronic Data Processing. What it means is you put in some data, those data in the background gets processed using those large computers which I spoke about. Then as the transformation in the industry happened, the information technology as a division got created in every field. Now, when we talk about information processing as a division, there are different roles. To start with, okay, let's take data center. Data center is the place where you host all your centralized computers. It has gone to that extent. Earlier, in every industry, the data center was owned by the organization. What it means is the organization had to have the infrastructure which is fully redundant. When I say fully redundant is, if you have one server, it is, another server is kept as a backup server so that if the one server fails, second server takes over. On the infrastructure side, you have uninterrupted power supply, UPS. You have, AC. You have electricity. Everything is created. So that means the experts from every field had to be managed within the organization. But in today's world, if you see, there are a lot of data center as a service providers are available. You take any big name, okay, they are there present in that particular field. So they give it as a service. So one is the cost of providing that service is reduced. The second is those are specialized activities. So bank need not worry about how to manage the data center, how to create a world-class data center which is never failing, fully redundant with respect to all, utilities services. Now, if you have to talk about the domains where as a student one can look at having exposure in technology, you can pick up any field. It could be digitization, it could be document management system, it could be workflow management system, it could be core processing of the, and when we talk about core processing, for banking, the core banking system would be the core processing. For, let's say, for insurance, it would be the insurance processing. They calculate the premiums, the the premium to be kept for or duration, like 20 years, 25 years for the length of the policy. Then you process that, declare bonuses. In banking, you declare interest. So those kind of processing. There are particular products. You have banking, current account, savings account, deposits. So you can be champs in that. You may write some modules, or do some kind of innovation. Everything is in the hands of the person who can imagine. There's a large data center which gets used in banking. So one could look at data center as the career options. There are system administrators. So for different applications, for different systems, different operating systems, different database management systems, you need administrators. So all these things, though we say it is automated, but behind that there is a hand which actually manages and maintains those. So that could be a good career option. The computers or the servers which is hosted, one is installing those services. Okay, that itself is the role. Then installing and managing those services. When I say managing, could be at the hardware level or at the operating system level. So when we talk about the operating system, we are talking about more of the system administrator role. Then when the system administrator role gets finished, in the sense when you actually set up the system, then you load the databases, because all application uses the database to store the database, so to store the data. So you have database administrator, so that is a role. Using that database, okay, there are people who write applications, okay, so the developer community is one role. Whatever you develop has to be made appealing, right? That's why there are UI experts, okay, there are designers, so those are the roles. There are front-end coders are there, how to make the usability, so that could be one of the roles. All put together, the application has to perform certain tasks. So that application management, the development is one side, but the consistent or continuous management of that application, so that is a role. Application management has to have a domain background. Now, when you write programs, before that you need to understand the requirements. So there could be a business analyst, could be a role. That business analyst, whatever he has understood, has to be converted into technical specification. So technical analyst could be a role. When we have all these roles, okay, there is a project governance which is required. So there is a project manager role, okay, which oversees all these functions and make sure that particular project is successful. You need to bring everyone together, the data center, the administrators, the application developers, rolling out the application. When we do this project, the projects could be from, let's say, 3 months to 1 year. So you do a project management. But sometimes you need to do a program management, like you're starting an institute, okay, starting a bank. Okay, there are different departments, okay, it needs to be automated, or different department application needs to be rolled out. So you do a complete program management. So there are program managers role, there are large roles like program directors, okay, which would be managing maybe 20 to 25 project managers. Okay, those project managers in turn managing project leads. So, it is like a pyramid. It can be, it gets concentrated on the top, but you have these different roles which plays different important aspects in any field, I would say, in the technology. Okay, the way we spoke about the project manager actually brings all the different roles and manages the project function and project governance. There's one more important role, which is chief architect, okay, who actually looks through the solution and makes sure that whatever components are getting deployed in the organization is sustainable and reusable. So he has a visibility to all the functions and all the applications which gets deployed in the data center or for the organization, and he architects the solutions. So chief architect's role is also an important role in any organization. And if you want to make career in as a software developer, I would say you need to have a good logic building capability and building, imagining the flow of information, the flow of tasks, what constitutes as the process. You need to understand those and then do the programming. So development is successful only and only if the person has a domain knowledge. Now, the person who is going to write banking software, in first place, he needs to understand. See, he may not be a full-fledged banker, but the modules which he is attempting to write or automate, he should understand those domains. So, if you see, technology and domain goes hand in hand. You cannot be, saying, I know a particular language. I mean, just to give an example, it could be, some particular database or SQL or a C++ kind of a thing, and say, I can do programming. That is maybe technically you will be able to write certain codes, but if you need to use that commercially, so you need to have the domain knowledge. That domain, the logic building capability, I would say is a must. With technical skills comes with training. Okay, but domain is his own interest. Domain has to come with the own. You need to have that passion towards understanding particular domain, and then say that, okay, I will become a particular coder or a developer or a system analyst or a business analyst in that particular field. Now, with respect to the skills, it entirely depends on the person's when he makes the career choice. Now, the person, if he is getting into, let's say, something related to the life sciences and biomedical field, the technology, one has to get trained using those technology in that particular field, or that person may be enabling those technologies for that particular field. So the technology, either it is from the user side as a user, or enabling those for the users. Okay, you need to get trained. So I would say basic technical, what you call the, I'm not saying aspiration, but the basic technology adaptability should be there. One should seize the opportunity which comes. Look at that and make a, I would say, a conscious call whether he can contribute and use that technology or develop that technology at that particular moment when the career option comes in. So it's not those earlier days where someone would say you do finance, become a CA, and you get this kind of a job for sure. It is not like that anymore. Okay, one can use the technology and make his own career. Prominently, I mean, if you generalize it, it is head of information technology. Head of IT is the role, but there are different flavors. There is a subtle difference between certain titles or the certain roles which is prominent in the industry. Let's talk about Chief Technology Officer. Okay, when you talk about Chief Technology Officer, he is more tuned towards I would say the hardware and telecom part of the entire technology domain. He would be responsible for data center. He would be responsible for all the technology architecting role which is there. He would be responsible for procurement of the technology with respect to hardware and telecommunications. Procuring and maintaining telecommunication also falls under the Chief Technology Officer. But certain organizations, would have Chief Information Officer as a role. Okay. Now, when we talk about Chief Information Officer generally has all the domains of Chief Technology Officer reporting to him. Apart from that, he is the way the title says, he is responsible for the information or the data which is being managed by the organization. So when we talk about information and data, there is a risk management with respect to IT. So that role falls under this particular Chief Information Officer. On the large he is playing a strategic role, could be at the board level or at the executive management committee level. So he would be representing, unlike earlier period, the technology was the cost center. In today's world, technology is the business enabler. So he sits along with the other CXOs in the managing committee or in the board. Having said about the CXO function, there is one more function which is very, very prominent nowadays, is the Chief Information Security Officer. Because today the transactions are done on the net through the mobile. So who is using what information at what time? What kind of a security needs to be built in? So Chief Information Security Officer is also a very, very critical role in any organization. But this is two different or two independent functions, and though they work very closely, generally CISO function does not report to or should not report to CIO, so that there is a conflict of interest. Since it's a control function, it typically reports to the chief risk officer of the organization, or could be a chief audit function. So those could be the reporting the thing. But CISO is also a very, very important role in any organization.